Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Utility Sports. Today, we're going to be doing a video that has been highly requested here on the channel in the comments section, and that is people asking for a New York Jets mock draft video. We've done some other team mock draft videos on the channel, so go check those out if you are interested in this series. And today, I'm actually going to be going about this one a little bit different. For those of you who don't know, I am a New York Jets fan, so I'm going to go about this in what I want the New York Jets to do, not necessarily what I think will happen for sure, okay? This is what I want to have happen for my New York Jets. And before we jump into this video, I want to remind you guys, hit that subscribe button if you are new. We just hit 1,900 subscribers yesterday. We have the best subs on the planet. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And also, go ahead in that comment section and request your favorite team or whatever team you would like to see us do a mock draft for here. We've got so much time put into these NFL prospects, really diving deep into a lot of these guys. And we want to share with you our thoughts, our analysis on what could happen come draft night. And the best way for us to do that is for you guys to put some requests in there. So let's go ahead and jump into this Jets mock draft now. We are going to be doing 4 rounds here for my New York Jets. And remember, this is what I would do or what I want to have happen. So Trevor Lawrence off the board at 1. That is the obvious pick. There's no way that this doesn't happen come draft day. Trevor Lawrence, I thought he might have been a New York Jet. I had a feeling it could happen. Did not fall that way, though. So now at 2, what do I want my New York Jets to do? Now, there's 2 different directions I really like. I really like wide receiver, whether that's Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. I think I have a slight preference towards Jamar Chase, to be completely honest. But I think that would maybe be a trade-down situation. Trade down would be the best case scenario for the New York Jets, but I'm not going to do that in this mock draft because it's not necessarily the most realistic thing that I can pull out here at pick 2. Now, some of you might say, well, you probably want a quarterback, right? And those of you know, I'm not very high on Sam Darnold. So you think that might be the direction I'm looking here. However, I do not want a quarterback at pick 2. Zach Wilson, I think he could be a good NFL QB. I just don't know if the New York Jets have the infrastructure around him to help him find success early on. I think Justin Fields should not be the second overall pick. I've been vocal about that for quite a while now. And looking at Zach Wilson, I just don't know. So I'm actually going to go Penei Sewell out of Oregon. Yes, we have our franchise left tackle, Mekhi Becton. You draft Penei Sewell to be a right tackle. He's going to be the best offensive lineman in this class. I know some of you might believe, well, you don't want to do that. Why not? There's no reason that you shouldn't want a franchise right tackle in addition to your franchise left tackle. Teams that have been great historically have great offensive lines, and the Jets have ranked last or second to last in the NFL in offense the last 2 years, and that was with Adam Gase. Obviously, we've moved on from him. We have Robert Saleh now, LaFleur as the offensive coordinator. I think our offense is going to be trending in the right direction, but why not get better at one of the most important spots on the field, the offensive line, specifically the tackle spot? Give Darnold some time. Sure, he might not be the franchise guy, but we have 2 first-round picks next year. We're going to have ways to move up in the draft if we want a QB next year. Why not wait, roll that back, see what Darnold really is if we have some protection and help for him? And I just love that. I love that for the New York Jets grabbing Penei Sewell. I think he's the best offensive lineman in this class. I think it's very possible he could be a top 3 player in this class. And we get him at 2. I feel very good with that. So looking at who's kind of come off the board now at this point, Etienne goes 18, Najee Harris goes 16. So the 2 top running backs are off the board. Parsons falls all the way to 17. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is here on the clock. Now, is he the biggest need for my New York Jets? No, he really isn't. However, is he the best player on the board? In my opinion, he really certainly is at this point. I'm really thinking hard and long about that because this is the first time we've seen him in one of our mock drafts be available at 23. And I really like what he could be at that point. However, let's go look at the edge position real quick. Rousseau and Jalen Phillips are both here. I like both of those guys. I actually preferred Rousseau over Phillips in terms of what the potential could look like as an edge with the physical frame and stature. Let's also look at the interior offensive line. Wyatt Davis, Creed Humphrey. Those are going to be guys I'd probably look closer to here at pick 34, though. Cornerback, very big need. J.C. Horn did go off the board right in front of us, so that kind of limits what I'm looking at here. I might just wait on that cornerback position. I know it's not friendly to do that, especially with what we have here in the back end of the first round. But I just don't know if there's anything I'm really sold on Kadarius Toney is here, though. I really like Kadarius Toney. I think he's electric. He's a dynamic receiver. He's going to give a team that he goes to a lot of different looks. He's going to give them a lot of different ways to use him. I really, really like him. I think that he could be a guy to look at. QB here, Mac Jones is still on the board. I just don't feel like that's the pick here at 23. I would have to have a Sam Darnold trade lined up. I don't love that. Pat Freiermuth's probably still on the board here. I do like Freiermuth quite a bit. Let's see what we have at the offensive tackle spot. Like I said earlier, it's thinned out a little bit. And also, we have Penei Sewell now with Mekhi Becton. We are stacked at that position. Barmore's here. And for me at this point, it's Gregory Rousseau. That's where I'm going to go. That's what I want. I want to take a guy who has the potential to fit along Robert Saleh's defense, someone who's physical, can win at the line of scrimmage. You know, he's got to develop his hands a little bit more. He's got to develop his pass rush moves a little bit. I fully understand that. But there's so much potential for him. It was hard for me to not go Owusu-Koramoah, but I think the linebacker spot is a little bit less of a need because we still do have CJ Mosley. I know he hasn't played for us, but we get an edge rusher. We really badly need that for Robert Saleh's defense. Now at 34, looking around, Azeez Ojulari still on the board. I'm not really opposed to that. Mac Jones is still here. Running back Javonte Williams. Not really loving this. We obviously saw Kadarius Toney go off the board. Let's go back to the all real quick. Now this is maybe where I start to look more at the cornerback position. Asante Samuel Jr. is here. I do really like Javonte Williams a lot. Don't get me wrong. I really love Javonte Williams. He's one of my favorite players in the class, but I just don't see him being worth pick 34 ultimately, especially with some of the other running backs that are on the board later. So I'm actually going to opt for Wyatt Davis. He's going to come in. He's going to play guard for me. And my offensive line is now much, 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 much improved. As a New York Jets fan, I know how important it is to build up the offensive line. I'm aware of that. When last time we made the playoffs, 2010, along that line, we had Damian Woody, Nick Mangold, DeBrickashaw Ferguson. We haven't had that level of play in our offensive line since then, and that's a big reason why we've missed the playoffs every single year for the last decade. We need to improve that offensive line, and so far this draft, I have really, really done so. I've got the second best interior offensive lineman in the class, in my opinion, in Wyatt Davis, behind Elijah Vera Tucker, who I think is the top one, and I got the best offensive tackle and offensive lineman overall in Penei Sewell. This is a home run. I'm addressing the trenches, if you haven't noticed. That has been a big aspect for me. Javonte Williams actually did fall to 65. I almost was able to grab him at 66, so I'm glad I had waited on him. Didn't fall all the way to me, but that's okay. Now here at this point, Jay Tufele is a little bit of an interesting selection for me. He's a meaty guy, can really impact the run. I think there's even some potential for him to impact the passing game a little bit. Shaun Wade's also here. He's a slot corner. I'm not necessarily sold on that being the pick for us, though, at this point. Let's go take a look at the running back position. Michael Carter, Kenneth Gainwell still here. I do believe we have two third-round picks. Yes, we do. There's pick 86 as well. So we can maybe wait on the running back spot. We also have pick 107 here. That's in the 4th round. And those are our remaining picks, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So now let's go at 66 here. And let's go back to all. Who's all available here for us now at this spot? Is there any guys that I necessarily in love with that I want to grab? Tufele is the one really jumping out to me. I know we don't necessarily need that interior defensive line spot as bad, but I'm more interested in grabbing talent, grabbing players at positions that are really important on the football field. Offensive line, defensive line are those spots. Let's also take a quick look at the wide receiver room. One guy that I'm very interested in here is Tylan Wallace. I know Austin, my co-creator here on the channel, is also very interested in Tylan Wallace as a prospect. I really trust his analysis when it comes to wide receivers. He would be a guy I would consider here at this point. One guy I really like, he's a little bit later down here, is Shi Smith. I know it says 153, but I think he's going to play himself into possibly a late day 2 pick or early day 3 pick. I don't see him going this low, especially with what we saw from him during the Senior Bowl and everything that unfolded there. Tight end, I'm not interested at this point. Let's take another look at the interior offensive linemen. There's still some other good players here at this point, but I don't find it likely that Joe Douglas, with the first 4 picks of the Jets, for 3 of them to be interior offensive linemen. I just don't find, or for 3 of them to be offensive linemen in general. I think he's going to try and balance out the draft a little bit more than that. Jabril Cox, someone I would maybe consider here. However, I don't see that necessarily as the play out either. I'm looking really here now at the cornerback position, because for those of you on the channel who've been around know how much I value cornerbacks. I think they're the second or third most important position in football, honestly, when it comes to getting talent there. 1 being quarterback, 2 maybe being edge, 3 being corner, and I think corner and edge are very flippable in a lot of ways. And so far we went out, got that edge in Gregory Rousseau. Now it's about finding a corner who can match up with a guy like Stephon Diggs, who we have to play twice a year in the division. I'm going to take a risk on Tyson Campbell here out of Georgia. I think he's got some outside cornerback potential. He's a guy who could maybe match up one-on-one with some of these other guys. He's going to have to grow a little bit into that role. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's going to be that on day one, but there is potential for him to reach that, and the Jets need to hit on some of these guys later, and he's a good option. And how it was hard for me to pass on Jay Tufele, but I just didn't necessarily see that being who the Jets would really go for, and I just didn't see that necessarily as what I would do with how I had already addressed the board. So now here at 86, I've gotten my cornerback, I've gotten my edge, I grabbed an offensive tackle and an interior offensive lineman. I'm feeling very good about what I have addressed so far at this point. Jabril Cox is still here. Wide receiver is still here, Tylan Wallace being one of them, and also that running back position I had mentioned earlier. And this is kind of where the strength is in this draft a little bit to me, is right here at this spot around pick 86 to about 105 is where we're going to see a few running backs fly off the board. And at this point, there are 2 guys I really love. Michael Carter, he's actually my favorite player in the class to just watch from a fan standpoint. I enjoy watching him. Kenneth Gainwell, however, I think he has a higher potential to be a really good running back in the NFL. Think a little bit of Austin Eckler as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He's a guy who can run wheel routes, run a whole bunch of ins, outs, ups. He could even line up in the slot occasionally. I think he's that talented of a receiver. If you guys haven't watched him, you need to make sure to check him out after this video. And I'm actually going to opt to go Kenneth Gainwell here at pick 86. For those of you who know how I value certain guys in this class, will know that I'm high on Kenneth Gainwell and his potential in the NFL as a running back. And for me, looking at my New York Jets, Ty Johnson, I just don't think he cuts it. I don't think that LaMichael Pirine, who we drafted last year, really gets the job done. So I might be a little quick to say, well, I don't know if I'm going to take that. That's my reason why I feel like I need to get an improved running back. We did see Michael Carter go off the board, like I said. That's going to be the spot for some of these running backs. And now I see Quincy Roche has fallen. However, Victor Dimukeji is also here. Kyle Trask is here. And actually Marvin Wilson is here too. He's the guy who's been even higher, low-end first-round pick earlier in the year, has fallen a long way down to pick 107 here. But I am going to go back to that wide receiver position. Tylan Wallace did fly off the board. However, now at 107, I'm going to go with Shi Smith out of South Carolina, the Gamecock. I really like what he can bring to the NFL. I think he's a guy who's going to be able to operate out of the slot. I think there's some potential for him to operate out wide. And he's a guy who's going to get yardage after the catch. And that's something that's going to be really important for the New York Jets. Jamison Crowder is our top receiver when it comes to being able to catch the ball over the middle of the field and make something happen. I think Denzel Mims has some potential to do that and actually operate on the outside more often. But now we get a guy who can really, really do that in Shi Smith. I think he's a perfect fit for my New York Jets. And at this point, I feel really good about the guys I was able to grab through the first 4 rounds for my New York Jets. We do have 6 picks in the first 4 rounds. Pretty good collection of assets there. The trade with the Seattle Seahawks regarding Jamal Adams was really big in giving us some assets. And you see here we got Penei Sewell, Gregory Rousseau, Wyatt Davis, Tyson Campbell, Kenneth Gainwell, and Shi Smith. I think this is a very good class for my New York Jets. Really focus the trenches in the first 3 picks, the first 2 rounds for my Jets, and then use rounds 3 and 4 to address some skill positions. Tyson Campbell, Kenneth Gainwell, Shi Smith, all guys that I think have good potential to be real NFL starting caliber players. And I really like what I'm bringing in here for my New York Jets. I know I didn't address QB. I'm aware of that. But I just am not sold that Zach Wilson is a franchise-type player. And at pick 2, if you're going to take a QB, it needs to be a franchise-type player. Could he be? Very well, he could be. And maybe I'm wrong about this. But for the New York Jets, I think it's best to build up some of that infrastructure and come back next season after another, season this next year with a little bit better infrastructure. Give Robert Saleh a year to see Sam Darnold, see what we have. We're going to be able to move on from him later in the year as well, possibly. And here now we get Sewell, Rousseau, Wyatt Davis. I'm very happy about what I was able to pull in this draft. Let me know in the comments what you thought, maybe which way you would take the New York Jets. I hope you guys really did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.